What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Real American Politics, back in with a new video, and today it is time that we do the top 20 worst former congressmen. That is right, folks. We're doing a list of the worst former congressmen, the top 20 worst of them. Now, this list will only include Republicans because you can make the argument, well, the top 20 would be all Democrats. Also, it's in recent years, so it can't be from 1952 or something crazy like that. This is just from the last, 15, 20 years or so. And boy, oh boy, there's a lot of goodies in this one. And I think a lot of you can guess some of these people, but there's a lot of people that, some people don't think about. You may disagree with my ratings, but yeah. So this is the top 20 worst former congressmen. Of course, they have to be a former Republican or was a Republican, and it must be from the last 20 years. Now, before I forget, of course, I hope you enjoy these type of videos. If you do, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, and yes, of course, go follow the mysterious Twitter account in the description down below. And yeah, also join the channel. That is right, folks. If you give 10 cents a day, you can join the channel. I think it's a good deal. If you spend a little bit more, your name will appear at the end of each video. So I think it's a good deal. Join the channel. It helps support the channel and all that good stuff. Alright, folks. This is going to be a longer video. This video will be kind of, brief summaries of each person. Some of these I don't have to do a summary about. But you get the point. So number 20 is Greg Walden. This guy is not good. He was a former congressman of Oregon 2nd, a blood red seat in Oregon. And his voting record was, at best, mediocre, which is unacceptable for that type of a district. And he had a Numbers USA score of only 80%, and he was one of the anti-wall 10. That is right, folks. Other Republicans, he was against a wall with Mexico. What? You're in a blood red seat, yet you're against a wall in Mexico for what reason? He also supported the Equality Act in deep red Oregon. This guy did not represent the base at all, and there's no reason he should have been ever elected. So number 20, Greg Walden, and boy, is he better than most of these other clowns. Number 19, Jim Leach. Now, his Numbers USA score alone is pretty bad, 48%. Really? You would think with that score he would be like number 2. But the thing with him is this. He actually had a good voting record on stuff like foreign policy. He was good on the Iraq War. Outside of that, what did he do? I really don't know what he did at all. And, Numbers USA score, not everything, but you're 48% in a blood red seat, or I would say a blood red seat, a more working class district. For a Numbers USA score, I know it was a Democrat seat at the time, but still, even then, some Democrats in Iowa had a better voting record than this guy. It's unexcusable, and there's no reason he should have been elected. Number 19 or 18, I should say, is a pretty obvious one. Mia Love. I think all of you know who she is. Former congressman of Utah's 4th, very pro-amnesty, and, well, this sums it up pretty much. She was hired as she was hired by CNN as a political commentator after she got embarrassed by Ben McAdams. So, I don't gotta say much because this alone, I think, says it. So, number 17, this is the one a lot of people are gonna know. Mark Sanford. Do I gotta say anything? Like, seriously, this guy was a governor of South Carolina, disappeared for a couple of weeks because, well, he was having an affair with a mistress. And he was a terrible governor. Then he became a representative of South Carolina, and he did pretty much nothing. He did nothing in South Carolina's 1st. He got embarrassed in 2018. He ran for president, and it's just a total mess. And his voting record's not that good. Only a 66%. Again, that's totally unexcusable when you have people like Mike Garcia, who I think have like an 83% or something crazy like that in freaking LA, the LA suburbs, in a Biden plus 12 seat. It's unexcusable that you still got Republicans, even a couple of years ago, that had that type of voting record, in that type of a district. So number 17, Mark Sanford. Number 16, Tom Reed. I don't think I gotta say much. I mean, he was the worst non-impeachment Republican. He's the newest person on this list. Obviously, he just resigned. This is all you need to know with the guy. Again, pause, read what it says. Do I gotta say much? Really? I mean, his numbers USA score only a 62%, really? Really? In New York? Or I think that's New York's 23rd? That's unexcusable. He's not good on the issues and pretty useless overall. Number 15, I think everybody knows. Do I gotta say? Do I have to say anything about Boehner? Do I? Boehner was an awful speaker, awful leader, and there's a reason that he resigned. He was about to get thrown his ass out of office either way, so he resigned in embarrassment after, he went behind the Republicans' back to work with Obama. It was disgusting what this clown did. He was an awful speaker, but the worst part is this. He wasn't as bad as a certain other speaker we're going to get to later. But the point is this, he was not a good speaker, not a good leader, and he did nothing as a representative in the Cincinnati area. Again, this is Ohio 8th, and he did not have a good voting record. It's an embarrassment that this clown was ever speaker. Now, number 14, this is one that may, shock some of you. Mick Mulvaney. Now, he wasn't the worst congressman, all right? He wasn't absolutely the worst. He had 85% of numbers USA. However, this is the big however. After he left office, worked with Trump's administration, he got exposed hard. It turned out he was a complete bullshitter as a congressman. He was a pro-Trump representative. That was bullshit. It turns out he was a fraud. He fed into the Russia hoax crap. And, well, he went from a Freedom Caucus founder to a traitor. I mean, this guy was awful as chief of staff. And plus, his voting record in the House still wasn't the best. You account for what he did after? Yeah, it wasn't good, and this guy's a complete traitor. Now, number 13, I think this is another kind of obvious one. John Shimkus. I hate this guy. We are so lucky to have Mary Miller representing the seat now, but this is just awful. He is a complete loser. He even went so far, right, as to say, I no longer support Trump after Trump started the withdrawal from Syria. This guy was a war hawk, a complete neocon, and the only saving grace was his numbers USA score is way better than a lot of these people above him, all right, at 75%. It was an embarrassment, and he's considered the schmuck for a reason. Thank God for Mary Miller. So number 12, it's kind of two. There are two here. One, you got Carlos Cabula. I think that's how you say the guy's name. Look, we all know Maria Salazar is pretty bad, but these two here, look, their numbers USA score makes Salazar look like a freaking gold standard. He has a 0%, she has a 9%. Significantly worse than Salazar. They may be the worst Republicans. The worst Republicans from the Miami-Dade area. It's just disgusting that these people represented it. I mean, you had this clown support same-sex marriage in 2012. It's disgusting, and I am so glad we do not get these clowns anymore elected, though. Is Salazar much better? Maybe. Slight upgrade, I guess. But both are liberal, and no reason for it to happen. So number 11 is Reed Ribble. Just another useless guy. I mean, he was a Paul Ryan lackey, and well, he admitted he became a quote-unquote Lincoln Project Republican, and of course, it's from Wisconsin. This is the first of several Wisconsin representatives. This guy's a disgrace to the state of Wisconsin. I mean, seriously, your voting record was a numbers USA score of 50 in Wisconsin's 8th? That should be a minimum 90%. Yet it's 50? This guy was awful, and thank goodness Mike Gallagher won. If it was for Gallagher, this clown probably still would be representing the district. I know that he technically retired, but he was kind of forced into it. This guy was awful, And thank God we got rid of him. So number 10, Bob Inglis. You know, this is a weird one. This is a really strange one. In the 90s, he was really good. In the 2000s, however, it did not go well, all right? He became, you know, from a fairly solid voting record and stuff like foreign affairs, then suddenly he shilled for Mace, shilled for the Alphabet Agenda, etc. And he also supported amnesty later on in his career, and it's a total joke. This guy was opposed to Trump, and he started off really good. And he even voted for stuff like, against stuff like NAFTA. But at the end of his term, he became worse and worse and worse. It sucks that this clown, you know, had his arc. It really is a disappointment. I mean, we had a good person here, and he just fell off. It's weird what happened, but it is what it is. Number 9, Paul Mitchell. I think everybody knows who this guy is. This guy's notorious for leaving the Republican Party in December 2020 when he announced he was becoming a Republican, as tens of people cheered for this clown. Like, nobody cares. This guy's a war hawk, a neocon, supported Liz Cheney's proposal to restrict Trump's Afghanistan withdrawal, and he had a numbers USA score of 59 in Michigan's 10th. Again, why do we keep electing these clowns? I mean, Paul Mitchell was never good, and he left at the end of 2020 because, oh, Orange Man, he turned the party bad. It's garbage that we still have people like this. Luckily, he retired, though I didn't like him, but rest in peace. That's all I'm going to say. Number 8, this is another one, another doozy, Will Hurd. Do I gotta say anything about Will Hurd? I mean, he was a big gun control advocate, amnesty shill, opposed the border wall, and had a numbers USA score of 42%. And what did this clown do? Seriously, what did he do in office? He didn't do a single good thing. And Trump proved that you can be harsh on immigration, yet do great with Hispanic voters. This clown, on the other hand, thought, we need amnesty to win Hispanics. Didn't work. Complete clown, and thank goodness he's not a representative, though. His successor, I wouldn't say is the best. It's an upgrade, I guess. Number 7, Barbara Comstock. Do I gotta say anything? Please? Numbers USA score of 46%. I don't think I gotta say anything. Just, no. Like, I know you were in a somewhat Democrat seat, but still, come on. Your voting record was still bad for that. I mean, at least with Mike Garcia, yeah, maybe every now and again he has a bad vote, but overall it's a solid voting record. This person, she was just awful. Number 6, this is another one that I may have to make a video on. Denver Riggleman. Guys, look up what Riggleman did with the same-sex marriage. I mean, this is what he essentially did. He essentially just, I hate it. I absolutely hate it that, you know, he says he was a conservative, yet he, you know, supported same-sex marriage. He had his numbers USA score of 66%, and even opposed Glenn Youngkin. Glenn Youngkin. It's just, why? This guy's awful. Thank God that he lost. Thank God for Bob Good. This guy was not good. Number 5, Joe Shore. I hate him. Endorsed Biden. He was extremely pro-abortion in a solid red district. And I know he only served for, like, 2 years? But he was a fat rhino. He was a big fat rhino who was only decent on immigration, which even then only has 76%. Do I have to, again, a lot of these people, do I gotta say anything about? Number 4 is Charlie Dent. All right, I had to quickly cut something happened in my recording. But essentially, Charlie Dent's awful, all right? Do I gotta say anything? He was pro-Planned Parenthood in a Trump seat. Now, he did get drawn out, but even then, it's like, okay, you're pretty bad. A numbers USA score of 54%. You're pro-choice. Your immigration record sucks. Not good. Not good. All right, now we're getting into the The worst of the worst. Number 3, Joe Walsh. Oh, look. You know, he only served 2 years, but he was awful. That's all I have to say. I mean, look at his freaking Twitter account. I mean, now he's for abolishing the Electoral College to stop drunk. This guy's a complete loser. And it's disgusting what happens when you have clowns like this still running around, you know, saying we're a true conservative. I hate people like this. I'm so glad he's out of office. Got embarrassed. And yeah. So number 3, Joe Walsh. I don't think I gotta say anything. Number 2, this one I personally hate the most. This guy puts a bad name on Wisconsin. Paul Ryan. Numbers USA score of 49%. 49%. He was one of the worst speakers of the House Republicans ever had. He purposely derailed the Trump agenda, destroyed 2 years of the Trump presidency for his nonsense. The worst thing was this. He was trying to force Trump to cut entitlements. You know what would have happened if he cut entitlements? The blue wave that happened in 2018 would have been bigger. Both the Florida races would have flipped. Texas probably would have flipped. It would have been a nightmare. This clown was so out of touch and a disgrace to Wisconsin. I mean, seriously, he got ran out of town. And I'm so glad he's gone. He does nothing good for the Republicans. But sadly, there's somebody worse than Paul Ryan. Ryan's the worst leader. But this guy at number 1, he is the embodiment of the loser right. The rhino right. Whatever you want to call these clowns. Number 1, Wayne Gilchrist. Aye. You've represented Maryland's first. And you had this voting record. You're kidding, right? I mean, look at this. Before 2019, he was a Republican. From 2019 to present, he's a Democrat. That's all you need to know. But he was pro-abortion. He was pro-DC statehood back in 2008. 2008, when nobody supported it. Back then. It just... What? I am baffled that we had clowns like this running. I mean, this is an extremely Republican seat, and he's running on pro-DC statehood. But that's not the most egregious thing. He is responsible for tanking Andy Harris in 2008, the one and only Andy Harris. He tanked his campaign after Harris embarrassed him in the primary. He went behind closed doors, and he made a lot of people vote for the Democrats. This clown sucks. Absolutely embarrassing what he did. He even opposed Larry Hogan. He's too conservative for Maryland. I cannot stand people like this. And that's that, folks. That's the top 20 worst former representatives. This is an embarrassment that this clown served for that long, almost 20 years. And he was, I don't know what to say. Anyways, folks, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, and yes, if you did enjoy these type of videos, also follow my social media, aka follow the mysterious Twitter account in the description down below. Also join the channel, and yeah, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video. Godspeed to all of you.